My name is Charlie Musgrove, and I teach at St. Mary's College of Maryland, which is a small liberal arts college about an hour and a half south of Washington, D.C. And I'm here in Taiwan on a Fulbright to conduct research on the emergence of democracy in Taiwan. And my particular angle on that subject is to look at rituals, protests, and the uses of public spaces in the formation of a particular form of democratic practice in Taiwan. Most studies that look at the emergence of democracy, they focus on the people or the political parties or the political institutions that allow democracy to emerge or allow democracy to function in a particular context. And while these things are very important, my project is focusing on the ways that people behave in particular manners, in culturally informed ways that basically create a different mode of practicing democracy in a particular place, in this case in Taiwan. And so I look in particular at rituals and protests, and where rituals and protests they overlap. That's where you basically have a common understanding of how to engage people. And at the same time, I want to look at how democracy functions within space. And so this is something that most studies on democracy have tended to overlook, particularly on studies of the emergence of democracy in Taiwan. Taiwan is very important to the United States in terms of our interests in East Asia, and as well as in terms of it being a place that now sort of lives up to the ideals about democracy and freedom that the United States has always claimed to represent. And the more that we can understand how democracy functions in Taiwan, the better we can support. So I think it's very important that people in the United States have a better understanding of Taiwan and Taiwan's democracy, how democracy emerged in Taiwan, and how it functions today. So I believe that taxpayers are very well served by studies like mine that help us better understand these issues. So I have two host institutions, the Center for Chinese Studies at the National Central Library and the Institute of Modern History at Academia Sinica. There's a Freedom of Information Act here in Taiwan that makes it very easy to access information in the archives and in the libraries. Of course, I feel that my whole career is about building bridges between East Asia and the United States. So I already sort of feel like I try to live up to the mission of the Fulbright all the time, basically. That's what I've devoted my life to. But in very particular terms, I also need to conduct research over here. If I'm going to continue to do the kind of work that I do in trying to facilitate connections and better understanding between East Asia and the United States, then I need to be able to come over and live here from time to time and conduct research and be immersed in the culture in order to be able to share my experiences back home. And so there are very few grants, there's very little in the way of support for this kind of research. And the Fulbright is one of the key organizations that does support this research. So my intention had been to make use of the Fulbright support in order to continue that very important mission, as well as to conduct research for projects both now and down the road. And so I feel that I have been able to fulfill my goals, and I'm very appreciative for the support that the Fulbright has provided for me to do so.